My name is Tom Camp from Digital Recording School, and today I want to talk to you about the Slate VRS system, the ML2 and ML1 mics, and what you need to know. Where was this 2 years ago? 2 years ago, I was working with an extremely talented artist named Drew Williams out of Orlando, Florida. We were tracking his record in multiple studios all over Jersey and Orlando in between his time touring. Drew had a really tall order. He wanted to do 6 songs that were all quite uniquely different in style, approach, and we had to track it live. Mark Barry and I engineered the record together, and I would say that the best thing that we had going were the drums. You see, we had a problem that we needed to solve creatively. We only had one day to track the rhythm guitars, the bass, and the drums live with a band. We couldn't tear down microphones and switch out drum kits between songs. One song's reference track was a D'Angelo song, another was a John Mayer track from Continuum, and another was by Leon Bridges. These are 3 very different drum sounds and distinct styles. So how did we do it? Easy. Microphone selection. We used multiple microphones to capture different characteristics of the drum kit and then blended them to taste depending on what the song needed. Here was our microphone list. We had a Yamaha sub-kick on the kick drum to capture the deep lows. We had an E602 aimed at the beater to capture the clickiness and the attack of the kick drum, and an SC4400 on the outside of the kick drum, which gave us that round, jazzy, old rock kick sound. Now we had 3 different characteristics of our kick drum. The D'Angelo style track relied heavily on the sub-kick, where the Leon Bridges style track relied mainly on the roominess of the SC4400. We now had versatility and the ability to blend with all of them. You can even think of it like this. The sub-kick handled the super lows. The E602 captured more of the highs, and the SC4400 on the outside captured the mids. In a sense, these 3 faders that we were using almost acted like an EQ with a lot of added characteristics. The snare had an SM57 on the top and an MD441 on the bottom. The hi-hat was mic'd up with a KM184, toms with MD421s. Then we had a pair of SM81s as stereo room mics and an additional pair of U87s for the room as well. The really interesting thing was the overheads. We had 2 pairs of overhead microphones. We used C414s and Royer 122s. The C414s are bright condensers, and the Royer 122s are darker ribbon microphones. This was the perfect choice because of the versatility of the different characteristics between each pair. Some tracks used the 414s, some used the Royers, and some used a blend of both. When I mix drums, I feel like most of the characteristics in the image come from my overhead sound. Mark and I were able to capture 2 distinctly different overhead sounds and make decisions about the drum sounds at the mix stage. But why is this so cool? Because it allowed us to meet our tracking deadline. It gave us options when we mixed. But what wasn't cool about it? Studios are expensive. Microphones are very expensive. Time is expensive. That mic locker alone probably costed between $10,000 to $20,000, not to mention all the other preamps and things that went into it. With a system like the VRS-8, I can engineer a record in a similar situation without worrying about getting a mortgage to buy these microphones or needing the client to rent out a giant studio just to use their mic locker. With the ability to copy source material, I wouldn't need 4 mics on the overheads. I wouldn't need 3 mics on the kick, nor would I need to make the decisions on what mics to use before the session. I could switch out the mics right there in the box after the client left. It eliminates the need to shoot out microphones on instruments and vocalists right there in the moment. This is amazing because if I'm going to be honest with you, nothing kills production and performance more than engineering time. Sure, we love engineering. We're studio guys. Our clients don't care to hear our hour-long lecture about microphone polar patterns. So far, I've downloaded the demo of the source material of Slate Digital's VRS Experience session, and I've played with the mics. I experienced the same level of magic, control, and feel that I have in my large drum session file that I just talked about. Having access to this gives us all of the options to the colors in our palette. I'm particularly impressed by how each thing took EQ differently, the same way that a real microphone would. When I track anything, I like to use my 4-point microphone system as a checklist to make sure that I'm making the right choices. I think about the source material of the performance. I always consider what the source's role is in the song and what the source is. Is it a lead female vocal? Is it an acoustic guitar in a rock song or a ballad? Secondly, I think about the environment. Different room sizes will yield wildly different sounds. What acoustic characteristics does my room have? Is there a lot of negative room sound that would make me want to have a more direct sound that a dynamic mic would give me? Or do I need more detail and high end of a condenser microphone? Third is the microphone selection. Now that I've established the environment and the source, I can select my microphone based on what will serve the song, the source material, and the environment. Fourth and finally is mic position. Most people make the mistake of getting obsessed with microphone positioning first and those techniques. Microphone positioning is much easier than you think. A quick tip is to understand that sound is energy that is transmitted through air. You can hit a tom and move your hand around the drum to feel where that air or that energy is coming from the most. This isn't a one-size-fits-all method, but it's a great starting point when selecting your mic positioning. The VRS system just made all of those choices a hell of a lot easier. Now these decisions can be made after tracking. I can select my microphone and my distance after the recording. This is game changing. This is an incredible release, and I can't wait to get my hands on a complete VRS system. Since those days in the big studios in the US, I've moved to Thailand to travel the world because, well, Jersey sucks and life's too short to be cold. Mixing on my laptop using Slate plugins has made it so that I don't have to miss the studio environment for mixing. But this product really makes me need to go get a VRS bundle and track a record in a big studio again. To everyone that has been telling themselves that their recordings suck because they don't have the right hardware, they don't have the right EQ, they're missing that compressor they've always dreamed of, and they can't afford the right microphones, are now officially out of excuses. You're done. You aren't allowed to lie to yourself anymore. Yet again, Slate and his team have changed the game. Hey, so I also wanted to let those of you know who are struggling with mixing that I recently wrote a book called The Game Changer that hit the Amazon bestseller list. In order to celebrate its success, I've decided to start giving it away for free on digitalrecordingschool.com. So if you're interested, go over and scoop it up now.